Hey, I'm glad you guys are here today because it is a cold, dreary, wet day today, and I need you guys to come on in with me because we're going to make some hot chocolate tea, and I'm going to show you guys how to make sourdough bagels, which are so easy on the wood cook stove off grid. So come on in. Before we get started, I need to put a little wood in the fire. Now I've brought my water to a boil already, and then it's really important, if you guys don't know, you don't pour boiling water right on your tea because it does give it a bitter taste. So it's always good to let it set. It's set up there about 5 minutes so it's perfect and ready to go, because I'm going to make Doug some chocolate tea right now. I've already had my tea because it has been a busy morning. Maggie already treed a raccoon. That's why it's so important to have a dog on your homestead, because it'll get rid of all those rodents and guys that might hurt your livestock. And I already fed Norman. Norman, our bottle-fed lamb, is starting to get weaned now, and I'm at 2 times a day, so we'll see how that goes. We'll put a little maple syrup. The maple syrup is really, really good with the chocolate tea. If you guys want to get some of that chocolate tea, go to offgridwithdougandstacy.com because it is back in stock. People are loving it, and it's free shipping for orders over $29. So let's get started with the main event. So I'm going to give you a little backstory before we get going. But while I'm telling you this, I need to move my water. I have a big pot of boiling water that I put over here because I want to get it to a nice rolling boil while we're getting the bagels prepped. Now, if you guys are going to do this at home, like I'm doing it on a wood cook stove, but anybody could do this anywhere you are on any kind of cooking surface because it'll work. But you want to have a big pot of water because I'm going to probably put 4 bagels in here that we're going to go ahead and boil. And if you're going to use a little pan, you could only probably do 1 bagel. So depending on what you're doing, you can use a big pot if you want to make more, or a little pot if you're going to make less. So let me tell you the story. I always wanted to make bagels, but then I see people making bagels and I think it's too complicated, it's too hard, and so I never did it. And then I tried some that were easier that you just baked in the oven. Well, the good New York style chewy bagels are the ones that you find that they boil, and I thought it was such a complicated process. And my friend Linda told me about this recipe, and I tried it and it was so easy, anybody can do it. So I wanted to show you guys. I told Doug that this is amazing. They were so good. I've been freezing them, and it's been one of the greatest things that I have made in quite a long time. So I can't wait to show you. So come on, let's get started. All you're going to need to make these sourdough bagels is some type of dough, some dough that you've made with yeast to let rise. I've actually told a lot of the Amish ladies about this because I've been so excited about it, and they have been making it just with their bread, and a lot of them all have different recipes. So any recipe has been working with this, and everyone is very excited about this in our community. But I'm using my sourdough bread recipe that is in my cookbook that I just wrote, and you can get that at offgridwithdougandstacy.com too. And you're going to also need baking soda and a type of sugar, and I prefer to use the sucanate, which is a sugarcane natural, which is just basically evaporated cane juice, and then it's in its most natural form. So I like to use that for my sweetening. And then you're going to need a baking sheet with some parchment paper, and that is it, and it's so easy. The first thing I'm going to do is, this is my sourdough that I have been, it's been rising for, I guess, look at this, almost a day. So what I'm going to do is use part of this dough to make some bagels. And then I'm going to use and let it rise a little bit longer, probably almost another day, and then I might make some bread with it. I'm not quite sure. And let's say I'm running out of time and I don't have time to make bread later. The great thing about this is I can just put it, in a container and cover it and put it in the refrigerator. And then I can use it in the next day or two, and it'll stay great. And then I can go ahead and bake some fresh bread if I want to. So that's why I like to make big batches, because there's so much that you guys can do with it. So all I'm going to do now is get some balls. And I'll tell you, the first time I did this, I made the balls way too big. And we ate them and they were amazing. Doug's like, these are really big. So you don't want to make them that big. So I just make them into probably a ball. Let's even take some of this out. That'll fit into the palm of your hand. And I'm going to put them on the parchment paper. And I can hear my water is boiling already. So you want a good rolling boil. Because that was the first thing too that I did. My two mistakes that I did is I made them too big, and my first few that I did, the water wasn't rolling. So just make sure that it's rolling. I have to tell you, when I started making bread, I never wanted to because I thought it was too complicated. And there's so many things that you can do with bread. I love the sourdough bread because I just get it and I get my starter and I keep it in the refrigerator. Like if I'm not baking anything for 2 weeks, I can do that. And just leave it, and then I feed it, and then I go ahead and make a bunch of stuff and I freeze it. It's wonderful. And if you have extra, it's great to gift to someone and give it to somebody. And I love the smell of sourdough bread. And I'm looking out my window now, and all the birds are out. I gave them a bunch of some black oil sunflower seeds. They just love them. Everyone's getting ready for spring. You guys can hear all the birds chirping. It's pretty cool. All right. I don't know how I'm gonna make. I've been giving these away, and every time I'm like I want to have a bagel, they're all gone because I keep giving them away because I'm so excited about how they turned out. All right, you guys ready for the fun part? This is my favorite part. So you're gonna need a tablespoon of baking soda and a tablespoon of your sugar. And I'm gonna put it in the boiling water. This is why they call it a rolling boil. It's rolling. All right, so you're gonna need a tablespoon of baking soda. Woo! It's like a science experiment. Tablespoon of your sugar. And I bet you're asking, why do we put baking soda and sugar in it? That's what's gonna give the bagel that nice, you know how bagels kind of have that shiny texture to them, and then it'll make them chewy too, so when you put it in the water. So all those things together is gonna contribute it to making it to a bagel. So right now I'm letting my bagels sit here. They're gonna rise just a bit. I'm gonna run outside because you know the days are getting longer and my chickens are laying so many more eggs. So I have to be really diligent about getting out there because everyone's running around because spring is in the air, and I don't want any of them to get cracked, because when those eggs crack, they get the yolks and everything all over them and they get sticky and yucky, and I don't like it. So I'm gonna run out and do that, and by the time I get back here, my bagels will be ready to cook. Well, those girls put out 14 eggs today. I just love it. Every day you get another one or two, so it's so much fun. But now I'm going to have a lot of eggs, so lots of friends are going to be getting eggs. All right, I think we're ready to go. Get those bagels moving. So my hands are nice and clean, so now I'm going to put my thumb in each one of those in the center, because you know how bagels have that little hole in it? So that's all you're going to do, is you're going to kind of make a little hole with your thumb. Looks like a big lifesaver. Remember those? I remember as a kid eating those wintergreen lifesavers. Our friend Noah, Amish friend Noah, he always carries them in his pocket and gives them all to the kids. This is my favorite part. It's so much fun. It's like a science experiment. So come on over. Let's put them in the water. All right, so I'm doing a rolling boil. And all you're do is you're going to take your bagel and I'm going to drop them in the water. And they're going to kind of get denser, like if you touch them, they start to feel a little like more tough. And then you're going to do this for 1 minute on each side. After 1 minute, all you're going to do is use your spatula and flip them over. Spin a minute on each side, and I'm going to go ahead and put them on the parchment. Ooh, almost lost that one. And then I'm going to go ahead and pop my thumb in it again. Okay, last 3. Down. Some coarse salt, I might do on 1. Some onion flakes, I'm going to put on another one. You can put sesame seeds. I mean, the possibilities are endless on these things. I'm going to put cinnamon and sugar. That's Doug's favorite. He likes the cinnamon sugar ones because he's so sweet. So you need to put these in a hot oven, 425, for about 20 minutes or so. If they're bigger, then you want to make it go a little longer. But usually 20 minutes is pretty good. When they are golden brown, they'll be ready. So when you have that wonderful aroma in the air, like I had when I was a little girl and my grandma Shushan would make pastries and things, it's just so overwhelming. You know your baked goods are almost done. So these bagels are done, and I'm going to take them out. Let's look at them. Ooh, they look beautiful. I have adult size and kid size bagels. So I'm going to let these cool just a few minutes, and in the meantime, I'm going to give you an update on my sweet potatoes. So I know a lot of you guys have been following along all the videos, and you watch all the videos, right? And I want to show you my sweet potatoes. I have 2 different varieties. I have the Beauregard, which are the orange ones, and I have purple ones, which are called the Molokai. One way to grow sweet potatoes in your garden is by making slips, by basically putting a sweet potato, putting your toothpicks in, putting some water in a jar, and putting it in your windowsill. And see what happens? You get the roots, and then it starts growing little plants. And these little plants are what you're going to plant in your garden, and that's what's going to give you multitudes of sweet potatoes. And I want to show you how easy it is. I've already collected a few of these. All I'm going to do now, when they're about 5-6 inches or so, I break them off. Here's a good one right here, like so. And then I put them in a jar with water. And then they'll start to root. And this is what I'm going to go ahead and plant in the earth. Yeah, and a common mistake a lot of people and gardeners do, especially when you're first starting out doing sweet potatoes, like regular white potatoes or red potatoes are very easy to put in the garden when it's cooler temperatures, but sweet potatoes do not like cold ground temperatures. So you need to really wait for your ground temperatures to stay consistent and stay warm. But stay tuned, because I'm going to do a whole bunch of stuff in the garden, and you can plant sweet potatoes with me. So there you have it, New York style bagels made here in the Midwest off-grid on a wood-burning cook stove. Any of you guys can do it if I can do it here. It's so simple and easy. I mean, anybody can do it. And let's see what they look like. And just a little note too, make sure you let them cool. You don't want to cut them right away, right out of the oven. Now what I'm going to do is put some cream cheese on here for Doug and I, and some of our farm fresh eggs that I just brought in, and we're going to have a great breakfast. And I have to tell you guys a little story. When we moved off grid, our goal was to produce most of all the food that we, are eating. And right now we're getting close to about 90% or so. And my big downfall was making bread. I thought, oh, it's just too time consuming. I was having trouble, you know, with the yeast and the rising and all this. And I'm sure a lot of you guys feel that way too. But I just struggled with it. And I raised everything. I would can, I would ferment. I mean, try to do everything, but the bread thing was just really hard, and I would sneak, and especially bagels. I would buy bagels because I really, really like bagels a lot. And I guess over the past few years, I learned how to do it where it was easier for me, where it wasn't so time consuming or it wasn't too hard. And you know, anybody can do this, you know, just set your mind to something. And now I feel very empowered because now I have the bread aspect of it along with all the fruits and vegetables that we grow here, and it's wonderful. So I want you guys to do me a favor. Leave a comment below if you guys think this is easy, that you maybe can try it. I would love to hear from you about it. And the other thing is when you are making these things from scratch and cooking from scratch, you know what goes into your foods. You know all the ingredients, you can say all their names. I know the food that I'm eating is healthy for my body and I'm not putting chemicals and toxins and things in my body. And leave another comment below. Tell me what was the last thing that you made from scratch. Hope you guys have an awesome day. Doug and I are starving here. We're gonna have our breakfast and I will see you guys later. Bye.
I've been thinking up and leave the city. I've been praying on some simple Midwest living, homestead instead of my own 9 to 5 with a suit and tie, going off grid with Doug and Stacy, going off grid with Doug and Stacy.
This is why you want a bigger pot. Can I fit one more in there? Let's try one more. And they start to kind of get harder, but they're kind of, you know, more dense now. So what you're going to do is